This is a podcast about one woman's mission to help entrepreneurs and business owners write better business books. Each week, we tackle your writing excuses, because there are excuses too, and help you beat the blank page of doom so that you can write the book that'll grow your life and your business. Now here's your host, Vicky Fraser.
Hello and welcome to the 1000 Authors Show with your hosts, Vicky Quinn Fraser and...
Joe Fraser. What on earth was that?
I don't know what just happened.
That was weird.
I got very confused and a bit panicky and I don't know what happened.
Okay, well, I mean, we're only on episode 287, so I can see how you'd still be nervous.
Yeah. Hi Joe, how you doing?
Hi, I'm good, thanks.
Good. I don't know what I'm doing now. Also, I don't know if the listeners can hear. Let's see. That is our little whiskey bear cat, our little whiskey cat. She's sitting on my knee and she's got the turbo cuddles, so...
At some point during this podcast, expect her to yowl and leave and then shout at us at the doorway.
Also, Noodle is in here, so there might be a fight at some point, who knows?
Yeah, a whole cat thing going on.
They tolerate each other, but they don't love each other, which makes me sad. But you can't force, they're brother and sister, so I guess they fight. But so yeah, I mean, what have we been up to?
What have we been up
this
to?
week? Joe just got home and texted me. I was in the office. We don't communicate via text. I was out in the office. But he says, "What have you been cooking? Smells like you've been frying pickled onions or something very weird." And I was like, I had a pickle disaster. And he was like, "What did you do? We might have to burn the house down and claim on the insurance." And yeah, you kind of stop smelling a smell once you've been in it for a while. And so I thought I'd done a really good job of cleaning up after making a Christmas present for Joe.
So I really like pickled eggs, and it turns out that Vicky has made me some pickled eggs as part of a Christmas gift.
I have.
And
because I was like,
I've ruined it by coming into the house and realising that we can no longer live here.
Well, I mean, okay, I don't know. I've not been in the house since. But I don't know. I know Joe loves pickled eggs, and I thought, I could just get some pickled eggs and put them in a stocking. Lol, that'll be funny. And then I was like, wait a minute, we've got chickens. I could just pickle some eggs and save myself £6 or however much it costs to buy decent pickled eggs. I don't know.
Yeah.
And so I was like, it's just vinegar and spices and eggs. So that's what I've been doing this afternoon. And I would have done it on Monday when Joe was away for a couple of days. But various meltdowns and anxiety things happened in Sainsbury's and I didn't manage to do that. But I have done it today. And so I was just like, I'm doing the pickled egg thing and it smells quite strong, but it's fine. And I spilled vinegar fucking everywhere. And then I cleaned it all up, which is unusual for me, but I was like, I can't leave vinegar lying around everywhere because Joe's head will actually explode. And so I did a really good job cleaning up and bottled my pickled eggs and then left the building, and I haven't been back in since.
It kind of, so I arrive home from work to an empty house that smells like, I don't know, someone's been microwaving chutney for the last day or two. It's just like, what the hell?
Oh, but your face when I gave you your job, because I was like, I don't know how to explain this away, because I said I had a pickle disaster, which is kind of true, and then I was spinning a web of lies in my head that there's no way that I would have been able to keep up with. I was like, I had a salad for lunch, and I just know there's no way you would believe that, And so I just panicked and I was like, well, it was a Christmas present, but your face when I gave it to you, you were so delighted.
Pickled eggs, man. Homemade pickled eggs. I think I like the idea of homemade pickled eggs. I have thought about homemade pickled eggs before. I didn't realise they made that kind of smell in a house. So I think if we ever do pickled eggs again, we're going to have to do it cook them on the barbecue or something.
Well, do you remember when we did jerk chicken?
Yes.
And it was like chemical warfare in the kitchen.
It's etched.
But no, what was even stronger than that? Because, it was amazing. It tasted amazing. But do you remember when we did apple and chili chutney?
Oh, Christ.
Charlie's recipe.
Yeah.
Oh, my God, that was horrific. I made the mistake of taking the pot lid off and sniffing it, and then I nearly had to go to hospital. Oh, my God. It tasted amazing.
I mean, the paint was bubbling off the walls, though, wasn't it? It was incredible.
The thing is, we have apples as well, and we grow chilies in the green. I'm going to do apple and chili chutney next year.
It was good.
It was good. And then I'm going to give it to everybody for Christmas.
Give it to everybody for Christmas, yeah. Because you don't need 20 jars of apple and chili chutney, do you?
You just need one. Lasts for a long time.
Yeah.
Right, anyway, what...
We're 5 minutes in and all we've done is talk about pickles.
No, but I think that's okay because it's Christmas, and by the time this goes out, it's going to be... I don't know.
Well, we're going to be in the throes of the next lockdown, aren't we?
Oh, I've deliberately not been listening to the news because of the level of fucking fuckery.
Yeah.
From Boris Fuckery Johnson and his fuckery fucking government. I'm aware that was a lot of swear words, but people who regularly listen to this podcast should be used to, quite a lot of fucks. So, and I think I can't imagine that anyone listening would object to any of those fucks given the context.
So I'm gonna make the prediction that by the time this podcast is released, which will be like Saturday.
No, we're ahead.
We're
Joe.
ahead. Okay.
Yeah, this is going to go. Oh, this is going to be a Christmas podcast.
Okay.
Merry Christmas, everybody.
Merry Christmas. When's it going out?
On Christmas Day, apparently.
Oh, Christmas Day. Right. Yeah. Okay. So by Saturday 25th, I reckon Boris is out.
Oh, I fucking hope so. Wouldn't that be a great Christmas present for everybody?
I reckon he's got to go. I think he's circling the drain and...
and you know what? If Wigan, who is our fucking local MP, if he could go as well...
Hi, Bill.
Oh, fuck you, Bill. That would be absolutely delightful. That would be the best Christmas present ever. I'm going to get hate mail.
He's not controversial enough for anything.
He can come for me. Come for me, Wigan. Anyway. I'm quite angry with the state of the world at the moment.
Yeah, it's kind of on fire again, isn't it?
Which is why I'm avoiding politics. So,
yeah.
Except I'm clearly not. I'm just swearing at it all. But pickles are good, and that's why...
Back on the topic of pickle.
Yeah, and so, you said we were talking about pickles for, 6 minutes now.
6.5.
But it's Christmas, and Christmas is a traditional time for pickles.
It's a very pickly time.
It's a very pickly time, and so... also I think it's good that I gave you the pickled eggs early because you will be able to be excited about them for the next week and a half, which is the apparently ideal amount of time for an egg to pickle before you should start eating them. And then Christmas Eve, we have a little Christmas Eve tradition where we just basically put Christmas movies on and have a carpet picnic.
Yeah, potato,
but we sometimes Joe gets a ham, but we'll have picky food and cheese and biscuits, and not that I really eat cheese anymore, but I might.
I don't quite know what, given that you've kind of crossed all of the fun picky foods off your list.
That doesn't mean you can't eat them.
I know, but it means you can't.
Oh, well, you know what? It's Christmas though. I'm going to get some goat's cheese because I seem to be fine with goat's cheese. And there are no amount of lentil crisps that I can't eat.
And olives and dips and things, I suppose, is still good.
Hummus. Oh my God, hummus, yeah.
But it's not like ham and cheeses and...
I haven't eaten ham for a very long time.
I think you just... Well, that's fine. That's fine. Good choices.
You can have ham.
I might. I might have a small ham.
And I'll look at it and be like... because... I do like ham, but I haven't eaten any for so many years. So anyway, what are you reading?
I'm still on Powers by Ursula K. Le Guin, mostly because I've been working quite hard and have been fairly exhausted and driving long distances, so my reading time per day has dropped significantly. And last night I think I got about 3 lines into it and fell asleep.
When I got into bed, you were asleep with your Kindle on your face.
Yeah.
It was really...
You were only like 2 minutes behind me.
It was adorable. And I am reading The First Woman by Jennifer Nansubuga Makumbi.
Okay.
And it is... Well, I'm really a couple of chapters in, so I haven't really got much to say about it. I'm enjoying it so far. Okay. It's set in Uganda in, I think, the 1970s. So Idi Amin's regime.
Okay.
And so that's the backdrop. It's not about him or anything, but that's the backdrop, and it's about a young woman's kind of awakening into womanhood, and with that backdrop, and the state of feminism in Uganda at the time. And I'm really enjoying it so far.
Coincidental Uganda coincidence. Yeah,
good words there.
I was listening to an interview with Jon Snow, the the Channel 4 news presenter.
With his swingometer
and all that kind of stuff. And he once sat next to Idi Amin while Idi Amin was asleep on his private jet as a younger reporter, and seriously considered pulling the pistol out of Idi Amin's hip holster and shooting him on his plane there and then. Wow. And he admitted to that? Yeah. Wow. But yes, so that's interesting. I'll go and listen to that. I'm also reading The Art of Gathering by Priya Parker. Okay.
which is so good. Again, I've not got as far into it as I really should have done by the stage in the month. It's a Bookaholics anonymous book, but it's so good, and it's all about how we gather and why it matters. I think that might actually be the subtitle.
Okay.
But yeah, and she is
on what sort of gathering? What are we talking about?
well, any gathering, anything from like a dinner party to a wedding or a bar mitzvah or a funeral.
Oh, okay.
And making it into something more meaningful than just a thing that you do because that's what you do. Like, so it's thinking about the deeper purpose of why you're gathering. So even for like a dinner party, and one of the very early examples in the book was a friend of hers who was having a dinner party because it was her turn and like to have back the people who they'd been around for a dinner party with. And then she was like, and she had all of these different purposes. And so Priya Parker was like, well, let's narrow it down to one. You don't have to cram everything into one gathering. It doesn't have to be all things. It's like, what do you really want? And it turned out that what she wanted was to have more in-depth conversations about interesting things. And that's not to say that her normal group of friends wouldn't do that, but it's more difficult with your normal circle of friends because you get comfortable with them. And so she'd invited back this couple, and then she invited two other couples and none of them knew each other, and they just kind of chucked a question in at the beginning of the evening and ended up having such an interesting like discussion that then carried on after the people went home with their own families and stuff. Cool. And it was just like, how do you design a gathering in such a way that it can be more than just this is what we do because this is what we do. Yeah. So it's not like a circular, we're having a birthday party so we can celebrate my birthday. That's a circular logic, So it might be like, I would here's an example actually from my real life. We were talking earlier. I was out with two friends. One of them has just had a baby, so she hasn't done any aerial for ages. And I was talking, it's my birthday at the end of March. I'm going to have a birthday party, which I never normally do because it's not something that I've ever done or wanted to do. But I was like, I'm going to have a birthday party at the Dingle, and it's going to be outside, and it's going to be an aerial party.
Yeah.
And it will be really good fun. And so maybe there'll be a barbecue and stuff, but the point will be...
get people on a trapeze.
Get people on a trapeze or a hoop. Even people who come who don't necessarily do that can come and have a go. And I just thought that would be really good fun.
That's a good idea.
Yeah, and so that's a really good example. Anyway, we're now 13 minutes in. I feel like we haven't really covered what we've done at the Dingle this week, but...
We started building walls. So this bedroom that we were converting into a bathroom, we have in fact had to replace the floor structure, the floor, the ceiling structure, the ceiling, all the insulation above it. And now we are working on the walls. So we're basically building an entirely new room where an old room used to be.
Yes.
And then we can start building a bathroom in it.
And we had a giant clear out.
We had a giant clear out.
And now the living room is a pleasant place.
Yeah.
It's got a Christmas tree in it.
You know how things just kind of pile up and develop and you end up getting used to stuff?
I did not realise how much light, dust and cobwebs absorb.
Sounds like we live in a cave.
Well, I mean... And you know what? People might be judging us on that, but we are renovating a 400-year-old cottage and we live in a building site a lot of the time. So you know what? Fucking judge me. It's really difficult to keep it super shiny clean. And so, that was its once a year proper cleaning, and it just made such a difference.
Like a big old Christmas clean.
Yeah. Anyway, what are we talking about this week?
God, I don't know. I mean, we've just spent half the time allotted talking nonsense.
We've been talking about pickles.
Okay.
I mean, if anyone wants my pickle recipe, you know where to find me. Hit me up for my pickled egg recipe. I will share it with you.
We could even sell you the eggs to pickle.
Yes, we could. Okay, so this week's topic is it a good idea, though?
Is what a good idea, though?
Pickling eggs. No, your book idea.
Oh, okay.
So we're talking about... Yeah, because that is, after all, what I do for a living.
Right.
And that is what this podcast is about. Helping people to write their books.
Almost impossible to discern what this podcast is about.
How dare you? Validating your big book idea. How do we validate our idea? How do we know that it's a good idea before we start writing it? And does it even matter?
Okay.
And so let's address that second question. Does it even matter if it's a good idea? And I would say, you might think that answer is obvious. Yes, of course it matters. But actually it depends on your reason for writing. If you're writing something just for you and you're going to print one copy and one copy only and it's going to sit on your shelf and you're going to be like, I have written my book and I'm happy, it really doesn't matter if anyone else thinks it's a good idea or not.
Okay.
If you think it's a good idea, you can do whatever you like. Although I would argue that it still matters, because I think, if you're going to write a book, it should be a good idea.
It's difficult to write a good book about a bad idea.
Well, I don't know, unless that's if you're writing a book about bad ideas.
That might be a good idea.
Yeah, I know.
Blimey.
See? But if you're writing for your readers, it definitely matters whether or not it's a good idea.
Okay.
And so it needs to be something that people want to read and will enjoy. It needs to be something they get value from. It needs to be something they find entertaining. But how on earth do you find out if your idea will be a good idea once it's in a book?
You're going to have to find somebody to talk to about it, aren't you?
Well, that is one of the ways. But we are actually going to cover 3 ways that you can validate your idea
3 ways
today. Yeah. And, ultimately, if we're going to be really honest, you never know for sure if it's going to be a good idea until it's actually out there in the world.
Mm-hmm. I get... Okay, let's do the 3 ways.
We'll do 3 ways in a minute, but before that, is if you've got a vague idea for a book, do these 3 things that we're about to talk about before you do too much work. You don't want to write like 50,000 words and then realise that what you've actually got is a terrible idea.
Okay. And
this is why I used to do this with products and things. I would produce the first bit of the product and then sell it. And then if it sold, then
you go on to create the rest of it.
I'd go on to create it. But I've also created some amazing things that turned out to be shit. So, and sometimes that's just the way it goes. But yeah, these 3 things are, you run it through your own brain, you do your research, and you ask your own audience. So that's 3 things you can do, and we're going to run through them one after another. So you want to run your idea through your own brain first, right? Give it some thought. And the reason that you want to give it some thought is I have a tendency to get overexcited and create awesome stuff that nobody wants.
Yes.
Which is both upsetting and frustrating, sometimes expensive and often a waste of time. It's not always a waste of time. Sometimes I'm genuinely glad I've created the thing, even if nobody else fucking wants it. But I'd also rather it made me money.
Yes. It is, after all, a business we're in.
It is, after all, a business that we're in. Otherwise, I'm just, crafting for fun.
Yeah, which is valid.
Valid, yeah, if that's your reason for it. But if it's something that I want to put out there to help people, then I need to make sure that it's actually a good idea. So give it some thought for a few days, and think about a few things. I'm going to give you a few things to think about. Is this an idea you will still be interested in during the weeks and months to come? Because that is a real big failure for me. Like, I get super excited about something, and then a week later I've dropped it in favour of something else because I have issues. But I've also written full books because that is something that means enough to me that I know that will hold my interest for long enough to actually do it and finish it.
Sure.
So that, is this something that you're still going to be excited about in a week? So
yeah, and in 6 months' time when you're trying to finish the book.
Exactly. So that's really important. If you can't, and I know it's difficult to kind of future project. I find it very difficult to project any further than a week into the future. I genuinely do. But think about your idea for a week. If you're still excited about it in a week, go with it.
Maybe it's worth pursuing.
Yeah. Also think about, and again, this is super difficult, but how do you think you might feel about it years down the line when it's out there? So if you write a book now, do you think it's got longevity? So sometimes it's worth kind of writing a book about the latest software, knowing that it's going to be out of date in 6 months or whatever, especially if it's just an ebook. But if you're writing a book, how are you do you think that maybe your perspective might shift in 10 years' time? I mean, will that be a book that you'll be proud to look back on, do you think? Or do you think it might be something that you possibly might look back on and go, oof?
Yeah.
And you can pull stuff off the shelves. So I've been chewing my lips, and now they're shredded, which is gross.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm so attractive right now. I'm basically eating my own lips. I can't stop.
You're going to have to.
I can't stop. So also, here are some other questions to ask yourself about your idea. Will it serve your business? Will it bring in the right people for what you want to do? Or is this an idea that you've gone off on a tangent?
Is this a side quest?
Yeah, that might bring in people, but they're not the right people for your main business. Mm-hmm. So for instance, I'm super interested in... I'm super interested in everything. But I'm really interested in space travel. If I were to write a non-fiction book about space travel within the confines of the business that I run now, I would bring in loads of space travel nerds, or maybe if it's a good book, it's unlikely. I would bring in space travel nerds who are never going to want to write a book of their own.
Sure.
So that would be a waste of my time in terms of business. It might be a fun side quest to do, but, will it serve my business? Will it serve your audience? And again, that book probably wouldn't serve my audience. They might enjoy it, but it's not going to serve them because my audience is people who want to write a book. So is it a fresh angle or a rehash of someone else's ideas? And that's really important as well. What fresh angle can you bring to it? So those are just a few questions for you to think about on your own. And then if your idea makes it through your own brain and you're like, yeah, I still think this is a good idea, then you can move on to the research phase.
Stage the second,
yeah. And here we need to do some research. And I don't mean like actual research, like double-blind studies and metadata.
Right. Placebo books.
Yeah, placebo books. Yeah, placebo ideas. I mean, go out and look for stuff in the area that you're writing about.
Okay.
So use Google, Amazon, Apple Podcasts, find out what's popular because, we can talk about Google and Amazon and Apple being big evil corporations, and they probably are. Amazon definitely are. But they're useful. Use them. You don't have to spend money with them to use them. Amazon is an amazing search engine and it will tell you what books are popular and not at the moment, and that's really important. So if there is lots of stuff out there on your topic, that's actually a good thing because I've heard people say, oh, there's so much stuff out there, it's a saturated market. But if there's so much stuff out there, that means there is call for it.
There is a market.
Yeah. And so if your topic is popping up in loads of search results, that means loads of people are searching for information on it. And that is a good thing. And that's when you can start thinking about what angle you bring into it, what fresh angle you bring into it, and that kind of thing. If there are no results, on the other hand, that might mean that there is no call for your idea right now.
Nobody is particularly interested in flamingo toe piercings or whatever.
Yeah, and that doesn't mean that in the future they won't be, but right now that's not something people are searching for. So have a real think about that and be honest with yourself about it. And maybe your niche is really ridiculously tiny, and maybe it's divorced moms who want to pickle eggs, right? Which is probably quite a small niche, and maybe they would love a book on that, on pickling. But, finding that audience is going to take more work.
Yeah.
It's doable, but it's going to take more work. So before you start researching, before you start doing any of this research, bullet point your ideas out as they are right now. So what do you know about your topic? Like, what are the things that you would want to cover in your book, in your idea? And then you can find the gaps in your own knowledge and compare them to what you find in articles and podcasts and journals and other books and things like that. And then start thinking about how your angle can fit into the wider, conversation about what's going on. Because you don't want to just be shouting the same stuff as somebody else like a year after they've shouted it.
For sure.
I mean, you can do that, but...
You'll look derivative.
Yeah, you will look derivative, and you'll be derivative. It's like, we want to know... There is nothing new under the sun, but there are new viewpoints and angles, and, especially if you're listening and you're from a community or like a place that is traditionally been oppressed or had your voice squashed or whatever... That's even better because your voice is very needed and it will bring a really fresh angle to whatever it is that we're talking about. Because we want, if people want, well, for me and for people like me, if I want to learn about a topic, I want to learn all angles of it. I don't just want the dusty old white dude version of it. I want to know how it sits in the wider real world, because the dusty old white dude world is not the real world. It's a very tiny portion of it. So I want to know all of that stuff. And so the more angles and the more takes on it that I can read and find, that's fantastic. So, also, here is a top tip. And I was actually just talking to my newest private coaching client about this yesterday. I gave him a couple of things to do as homework. But I was like, note down every reference you find interesting, every article you read, every book you read, note the page number, note what it was that you found interesting, and do it as you are researching. Because if you come to the end and you're like, oh, I need to write my references now, and you have not done that, you will want to explode the world. So write everything down as soon as you find it so that you can reference it properly if you quote from it. And it will save you hours and a lot of rage later on. And by the way, quoting other experts is really good because it brings you credibility and it shows that you have integrity because you're reading widely. You're not just being like, you're not just making shit up basically out of your head. It's like, I've got all of this stuff that I've gathered wisdom from. Here is what this person says and this is what I think about it.
Yeah. And agree or disagree with them, but definitely, quote them and acknowledge them. This is where Vicky takes a massive gulp of water and leaves me to it.
Yeah. You've got notes, carry on. Research on Amazon as well. So what's hot in your categories? What's the bestseller at the moment? What's the bestseller in your industry? Look at what people also buy.
Yes.
So, you know, when you like land on a book and you have a look at it and then it says people who bought this also bought that.
Yes.
Really useful tool.
People who bought How to Look After Sheep also bought How to Spin Your Own Yarn or whatever.
Exactly. So that's really, really useful. Study titles and subtitles. What are the titles of the bestsellers? Because that is an indication of what is catching people's eyes. Go in the look inside. I do this all the time. It's so useful. In Amazon, you can click on look inside. You can always see the table of contents. That will give you an idea of how books are structured and what topics the writer has covered. And so you can look for gaps. It's like, I didn't think of that. They're doing that, but they haven't thought of this. And it's really also useful to see how people have structured stuff sometimes, because I know that at the beginning when I've got an idea, it's like a big nebulous thing and I have no fucking clue how to structure this. And so looking at how other people have structured stuff can be really useful, because quite often I'll be like, I wouldn't do it like that, which is really useful because then you can do it another way. Look at the reviews as well. Read the reviews. Read the bad reviews. What do people complain about? What do they think is missing from the books? What do they think was done badly?
Not enough depth, skimming over the top of things.
This book could have been written in one chapter is a very common complaint on business books on Amazon.
Yes,
so,
this is a 3-page idea stretched over 60 pages.
Yeah, and it's really irritating when that's your bang out your bestseller in 30 days jobby, that is. And it's very frustrating because it's just, respect people's time. Because when you buy a book, even if it's free, even if it's like people sign up to my email newsletter for free, it's not free. They are investing, and people listen to this podcast for free. It's not free. They're investing their time and energy into listening to it. So, I hope they enjoy the rambling at the beginning. But also, this is really useful stuff. This is useful information that we're giving. And so think about that for your book as well. It's rude to stretch and pad out a 5-page idea over 200 pages. It's rude. And, making the whole thing a big sales pitch. I was going to say some names then, but they've got a lot more money than me and they'll sue me. But there are people in the industry whose books are basically a great big giant sales pitch. And I think that's rude as well. And there isn't a lot of value in there.
Sure.
So research on social media. So what are the hot hashtags in your topic area? What are people talking about? What are they angry about? What are they excited about? What are they asking? And what answers are other people providing for them? So you can do that on Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook if you can stomach it. Quora is a great place because you can actually set up your own...
Yeah, notifications on questions people ask.
Yeah, but you can also answer people's questions as an expert in your industry. And if you want to see that done really well, you can go and follow on Quora Dr. Julian Northbrook, who is one of my Team Moxie. Hi, Julian.
Hi, Julian.
And he has a very strong presence on Quora. He answers a lot of questions on there, and he gets a lot of business through it as well. And I keep thinking I should do something on Quora, but then I get distracted. So yeah, Quora is a really good place to go. And also, finally, check out answerthepublic.com, which is a great little resource to find out exactly what people are asking about. So it will tell you the exact structure of the questions that people are typing into search engines. Really useful. And it will tell you, it will branch off like diagrams for how many people are asking this version of that question and, the grammar that they're using.
That's pretty cool.
It's very cool. It's not free. After you get a certain number of uses for free, and then after you've done your quota for the day or the week or whatever, they'll go, ping, you need to upgrade now, which is fair enough.
Yeah, useful service.
It's a useful service. So yeah, that is how you can research. And it might sound like a lot of stuff to do, but actually it doesn't take that long to do, a bit of preliminary research just to see if your idea is good. And then you can go much deeper into this stuff when you've decided on your idea.
Cool.
And then finally, ask your own audience. So, for example, if you have an email newsletter like I do, which emails get the most replies? Which get the most engagement? Which social posts get the most interactions, saves and shares? What questions do people ask when you invite them to ask you stuff? All of this is really, really good feedback from people who are already in your own audience. You can send out surveys too, and, maybe you want to do that, and they will give you a clue, but with the caveat that people... often, A, don't know what they want or need until they see it.
Yeah.
And B, people tend to lie, like not maliciously and not always consciously.
Survey answers are not going to give you the same results or the same level of validity as actual people asking you actual questions.
Yeah, and also look at people's actions. It's like people will tell you stuff, but they will show you in their actions much more strongly. And there have been studies about this. Like people were asked, oh, you know, if you were going to have a free gift at this thing, what would you want? And they said one thing, and then they left the free gifts on the table and they took the others. So, you know, that tells people immediately. So also people will tell you what you want to hear.
Yes.
Or what they think you want to hear. Or what makes them look good.
Or they'll try and be nice to you.
Yeah. Or they will, you know, they'll be like, oh, what's gonna put me in the best light.
They'll answer you the way they would like to be perceived.
Yeah, and they I tell you what, most of the time I don't think people do it consciously. I think it's just the way that we do things. So by all means ask people, because you will get a set of data out of that can be useful, because you'll get information about how people see themselves. But if you want information about what they're actually going to spend money on and put time into, then watch what they do. That's much more valuable. So, cool. Have you got anything to add to all of that?
No, that was pretty comprehensive stuff, I think. That's good.
I feel like you sound surprised that this was a well thought out and planned podcast too.
Well, 15 minutes in, I thought we're going to struggle.
How dare you? So yes, I should also apologise if there's a rather awkward jump cut towards the front, because I've asked Podfly to take some stuff out that I think might get me arrested. So so there is that. But also, I hope you're having a really wonderful Christmas. If you're listening to this on Christmas Day, stop it. Go and eat too much chocolate or something. But also, thank you for listening to us on Christmas. Maybe you're escaping from your family. I don't know. But yeah, I hope you're having a really lovely Christmas if you celebrate Christmas. If you don't celebrate Christmas, I hope you're having a lovely day not celebrating Christmas. And yeah, I've still got my free advent calendar is still going.
Nice.
You can go get that at moxiebooks.co.uk/calendar. You don't even have to give me your email address. You can just go and do it. Join us on social media. Loads of people are I'm really enjoying it. People are sharing what they're writing from my prompts.
Oh, nice.
I'm really enjoying it. And so that's delightful. So you can go and get the free advent calendar, which is not the takeaway. What's the takeaway, Joe? I haven't.
Do your research. Think about your idea. Digest it. Ask people.
Don't just run with it without thinking.
Yeah, don't get 30,000 words in and then just think, oh, God, this is terrible.
Yeah. Which is sometimes what I do. So yeah, thank you.
No worries.
Go get the calendar. I don't know what we're talking about next week. Who the hell knows?
Who the hell knows?
Do you know what? Maybe a little bit of creative writing.
Okay.
Yeah, because I will be thinking about my next TMA.
TMA?
Which is poems. I have to write poetry. Poems.
Crikey.
I've been writing poetry, man.
Maybe we'll listen to some of your poetry.
Absolutely fucking not. So yeah, if you have listened to every episode, please email me with your address and I will send you a silly gift. If you like this podcast, please go and subscribe.
Excellent.
Please go and rate us and review us.
5 stars.
5 stars. If you don't like this podcast, I don't know why you're still listening. And other podcasts are available. Yeah. Oh, if you know somebody who will like this nonsense, please send them to moxiebooks.co.uk podcast/podcast. And yeah.
That's it.
That's it.
We're out.
I'm going to burp.
Nice.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas, everybody.
Have a wonderful... I hope you're all okay. I hope you're all okay. It's been a really tough year. Again. I feel like next year's going to be tough too.
Oh, I think it's going to be better.
But you got this, people. I want to fucking travel again. I miss travelling.
Yeah, I want to go places, see people.
Well, we're going to Toronto and Barcelona, whatever happens. Possibly in the same week, actually. So yeah, have an amazing time. Joe, thank you for doing 287 podcast episodes with me.
No worries.
It's fun.
See you next week.
Bye.
Bye.
Oh, also, Podfly, thank you so much for editing this nonsense every week and doing such a good job of it. And I hope you're all having a wonderful festive holiday season, wherever you are. I think some of them are in Costa Rica, which is where we had our honeymoon. I would like to go back there. My stomach is growling. And Harriet, thank you for just being awesome. And Team Moxie, thank you for being they light up my mornings. Team Moxie do with my power hours.
Nice.
Yeah, if I'm ever sad, the face is on the screen, and then I'm like, oh, by the time I'm done, I'm like, it's been really lovely. So, if you want to join Team Moxie, you can go to moxiebooks.co.uk/power hour, I think, and you can join us for a week for £1.
Nice.
Come and try us out. I would love that. Right, I'm going now.
Bye!
Bye!
Thanks for listening. You can find links and show notes on the website at moxiebooks.co.uk/podcast, where you can also sign up for the best daily emails in the multiverse and find loads of free resources to help you write your book. We'll be back the same time next week with more tales from the book writing trenches and the latest on what the tiny sheeps have been up to.